Yeah, so I'm while Kyle's kind of getting ready, I'll just kind of give him a quick intro. But Kyle, you're welcome to give yourself a further intro.
Right.
Um, I, I've only met Kyle kind of recently. We bonded over music and DJing and Ableton, um, and I instantly fell in love with the music that he creates. It was kind of the raw and use of the real world um, that really attracted me to it. It was a couple like very minimal kind of house and techno jams with some just kind of raw field recording sounds interlaced in there. So I fell in love with that immediately, and as I got to know him more, um, I found out how much of a traveler uh, Kyle is, and uh, just how he's always recording, and how a lot of that goes into the music. And we ended up talking a lot about that, and I think we'll explore that a little bit tonight as well, of just like how using field recordings and in our music practice helps us connect to our real world experiences and real world places. Uh, and how powerful of a thing that can be, and how powerful of a thing that can be to put in our music, right? It can make it that much more impactful. But yeah, so I'm excited for all of that. Um, so yeah, the project's up there. Do you want to give it a quick sound test?
Okay, what are you seeing? Are you seeing my screen share?
Yep.
Okay. Can I like disable that just to kind of walk through a little bit? Let's see.
You're needing to disable the screen share.
Yeah, okay, it's at the top. I got it.
Yeah, sometimes the screen share option controls they kind of float away at the top. You got if you hover at the top though, they kind of reappear.
Let's see. Screen share, dock mode. Anyways, so I'm probably not going to get that squared away just now. I don't know how to unshare, but I was going to start off with an introduction without you just looking at the project, but that's fine. I don't know if you can still see me in like a small box maybe.
Yes, yeah, we can see you
Okay,
if folks have the gallery view enabled. I think they should still be able to see you off to the side there.
cool, cool. All right, so yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm originally from Michigan, about Detroit, in a small town, but growing up, I'd make my way down to Detroit every time. Got me into electronic music. Therefore, it got me into producing, making my own stuff. But as Yard was saying, I really like using samples from real life, samples from like experiences I've had. And it's not like the most um, engaging music for everybody, but me personally, I don't make music. I don't sell any of my music. I don't do a whole lot with it. I mainly just share it with people, and it just means something to me to know where the sounds came from. So it's really nice to kind of use those aspects, and it's just really fun. You get some weird and unique things that come out of it. Stuff that's like not it's not in your rack. You don't have to search through. You don't have to do that stuff. You just import your own sounds and go with it. Add some effects, cut it up, use simpler, loop it, just tear it down to a couple of wavelengths, and you can do all kinds of crazy stuff that sound pretty decent. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Um, I don't only just use field recordings. Sometimes I'll go on like a random YouTube video and I'll just pull up what is it, Audacity, and I'll record some random YouTube video and use like their vocals, or if they're just talking or just random stuff, and you can break it down and you can make tons of stuff out of it. It's pretty cool. And with Ableton,
What do you
like
use to rip from YouTube?
Audacity, it's
So
just
Audacity will rip.
so what you do is you set it to the output that the audio is going to, and then you just play it. It's like old school ripping audio tracks off of something coming out of your computer. Literally anything that comes out of your speakers, you can record it through Audacity.
I'll
And
just
what I
jump
did-
in to also say there's a really nice suite of free tools by a company called Media Human that do a couple of different download tools if you want to rip the audio from things. And then I think they have a separate one for getting the actual video itself too. Media Human. I'll pop it in the chat.
Cool. Yeah, I've been doing stuff kind of, I just Google around. Mainly, I just wanted a way to rip my music or my sounds really easy. So I have my mic here. It's actually a portable mic. And if I'm prepared, if I'm going out to find samples, I have it. 99% of the time, it's just my phone. I mean, I just have this this past trip that I took to Colombia. I didn't bring this mic. I didn't even actually focus on finding samples that were interesting and cool, with the exception of maybe one time. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to just sift through things that you have. Even if it was unintentional, you can find some really cool stuff. So with that, maybe going through some of the videos and pictures that I actually recorded, so we get a baseline for like what sounds I'm using, why I chose it, if there was even a reason I chose it, or if I just decided to grab it and go with it. So I'll see if I can share that. Let's share. Yes. Can you see my internet browser? Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
And there's quite a big cluster of people, so I'm going to move this off to the side. But so this last trip was I went to Colombia. It was amazing. I did a motorcycle tour and stayed in hostels and just kind of chilled out. It was a solo trip, but it was an amazing time. So go through that. Let's see. So I'm going to scroll through all these pictures real quick and try to find my videos that I go on Google Photos. This is not straight from my phone, so I'm sure the audio is probably degraded a little bit, but still with that, I'm able to do stuff. So I just kind of went through here and found videos with interesting audio. And I think most of them, oh, by the way, so my main audio came from this sinkhole that's in Colombia. It's second deepest in the world, and we were just in the middle of nowhere. We got to go down in this sinkhole. We rappelled down at the bottom. It was super steep, went down about 50 meters into a cave. And we went into this cave and came back out and climbed back out. But with that, there was a lot of videos that I took that just kind of got some interesting sounds. I don't know if you can hear this. I actually can't right now, so I'm going to see what I can do.
We can hear it. I can hear it.
Interesting. I can't. Okay, so I can see it though. So you see he's putting the carabiners, I guess, onto the rappelling equipment, and the clanging is actually what I used as a sample. Let's see if I can go back. That's kind of strange. Let me see if I can figure out why I can't hear it. That is why. Let's go into my speakers. There we go. So the clanging of that I used, and this is when we descended down into the cave. So down here, there's like lots of awesome sounds. So there's an underground river. There was these birds that use echolocation, like bats. We saw some fish without eyes and some cave crabs and stuff too. But some really neat sounds came out of this, and I'll play this video. It's rather long, so I'll stick around to where my samples came from. but let's see if I can hear this time. Yeah. So the clicking is those birds using their echolocation.
Oh, huevo. Look at there, an egg. Look at that. Yeah.
I think I used some of their vocals. They're talking. Oops. Dang it. So I don't know how to unlatch it. So I'm going to move this up. There we go. Now I can see it. Of course. So as I was saying, the clicking, those birds, you can hear the water further in the video. Also, my headlamp didn't work, so my video kind of sucks a lot.
Oh, huevo.
We'll skip ahead. I think it's around here. So this, we're further in the cave. You can hear the river more. I think you can see me stepping into it. But also there's the bird actually stirs up and starts to caw.
Ah?
So I use that sample. That's pretty integral. That is actually the bass sound that I made using that caw. Let's see, we'll go back. There's a few other things like this video. I think I may have used these two talking. And I really wish like I had better audio of this because it kind of has that delay and that echo from the huge hole that they're in. Go back. Let's see. I'm not sure. I think there was a couple more. I may have used something from this.
Feel the corn.
Está bien.
No, I don't think I used that. Anyways, basically, so what I do, my workflow is, or was for this project at least, going through these videos, and literally I just have Audacity up. I'd have one audio track and I'd just hit record and then I'd play the video and on to the next, record and play the video. And I would drop that into a sampler and chop it up. And this is kind of a reoccurring thing. I've done this for many trips, Vietnam, Japan. This, I'll show you a couple from Vietnam where I intentionally took samples. It was pretty amazing. And sometimes you just hear something and you're like, that would be cool. Or maybe inside your head, you start building a track around it. But it's really kind of neat to find those little things.
These pictures are
This.
gorgeous. They are gorgeous.
Yeah, thanks. This was kind of neat because like it's only 1 second, but obviously the more you hear something, the more you loop it, the more your ear like recognizes it kind of as music. when I first came to this place. I think it was. This is one just me being really stupid and riding on my moped. Whoops. And then I started doing this stupid little like tune. But yeah, Vietnam's weird. There's just animals walking around everywhere. Yeah, that. I missed it because it was when I came to this place. Sorry, guys. Nope. Getting close. I really enjoyed this. It's right here. There we go. So literally I heard this and I was like, I need this sound. He's selling something off the back of his moped. Some kind of food. But that screech right there, I was able to use that, just drench it in like reverb and kind of like all this crazy stuff. And then the guy in the red will actually wave at me and I laugh. So I use that. But yeah, those are a couple of samples that one in particular really stood out to me. Let's see. I'm focusing a lot on this because my track's not super complicated, so just kind of go through that quick. I hope nobody's getting bored or anything. But let's see, that Vietnam. I need Japan. Japan was neat. There was a couple. This was just like perfect. So there's a guy, I was just walking around by myself in this alleyway, and there's this guy cutting flowers with scissors, like the old school, just sheer, just. And then there was a some sort of wind chime, so it was nice sound to just kind of add in there. And this guy cutting flowers, basically I took that and quantized it, and it kind of became a pretty integral part of the track. More so in the background, but it was just like that click noise. And I don't know where that track's at. Everybody using Ableton, please be way more organized than me because I lose this stuff a lot. And I actually don't know where this track is, but I did find a little clip I made of it on my phone. Also, a typhoon hit when I was in Japan, and it allowed me to stay a couple extra days to go to Labyrinth Festival, which is mainly techno based in the mountains of Japan. It was pretty awesome. And I thought it was on here, but I guess it's not. Oh, maybe it's Vietnam. Is there any questions so far while I'm scrolling through all this stuff? Comments? No? All right. Cool.
Maybe you'll talk
go ahead.
more later, but I was just kind of curious, I guess, like since like all these samples are like from your travels, so like different countries, and like do the travel and experiences like inform how you use the samples, or do you use the sounds themselves like in a more abstract way?
I think it ends up being more abstract. So like that dude in Vietnam on his bike with the like Pai Paule or whatever he was saying. My brother was actually with me at that time, and we're just like, dude, that'd be a great house track to have like that in there. And I would have loved to do that, but I don't have the knowledge to make a great house track, or maybe I do, I just haven't applied it in the right way. So I would like to definitely use the travel experience to shape it. but a lot of this stuff really does end up being more abstract. But yeah, this is a small snippet of that track that just kind of like, this did kind of, I don't know how loud that is for you guys. It's a little loud for me, but so you can hear the chime, the click, click. And they're just loops. This is not set up in any order. This is so a lot of this stuff I find myself just drenching with a lot of delay and reverb and stuff. Like that laugh just kind of echoes on. But it's fun to throw those little things in there. This track, I definitely used some actual like instruments on Ableton, but a couple of the bass notes are, I believe, voices. Voices are great for making synth, especially if it's like any sort of melody or something, or a tune that they're saying rather than just speaking. Yeah, so that's that track.
Rachel just asked a really good question that I'm curious about too, which is if it's possible to demonstrate how to quantize a sample like this.
Oh yeah.
What are your approaches to these, to both short samples that are more like one-shot type things versus these things that kind of create like a pattern and a rhythm, kind of like that aux like little 2 second sample? Like, how are you treating these things different in the way that you're warping them, or just approaching them, and like, are you just gridding them out, or do you create a grid around the like odd lengths or anything like that?
Yeah, so I think I always start by throwing it into a simpler. Let's pull up. We got that stuff out of the way. Let's pull up the actual project. I don't know if anything's still in simpler. I usually cut it into drum rack after. Wow, this thing at the bottom's really throwing me off. Let's see. Oh, cool, I can move it. Yeah, so I cut this into a drum rack. Can you guys see my screen? My Ableton?
Yeah.
Cool. So do I have a MIDI? I have a MIDI. All right, so simpler instrument. Man, simpler. Oh no. Samples, is it gonna be in there? I do not know where the heck I put this. I might have to do some searching. So
If it's also,
to spare,
if it's too much trouble to do that now, I can always go over that specific thing later as well if you want to.
yeah. So we'll spare everybody me searching through my super unorganized files. I would take, are you guys able to see my cursor?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. So I personally, I use Audacity. I record my sample. I record it as a string, so it's just one audio clip, and then I drag and drop it into Simpler. Then I go to Slice, and Slice is super cool. So I don't know if you can see my camera, but normally it would slice it to all my slots on my push, or if you don't have a push, it's just different MIDI keys that fire each sample. There's different ways to play them. You can play through each little clip, or you can just play whatever it does. But my favorite thing to mess with is not shown here, unfortunately. I think if I just, let me just throw something in, so it will. So if I go slice, and then I go by transient, yeah, and then this sensitivity, it's not doing anything to this sample, but changing the sensitivity, if you're familiar with transient, I don't know the technical definition, but it's like it tries to find where a new audio blip starts. So if the volume goes up really high, it'll put something there. And by messing with this, you get different chops. So I could do this same process of putting this in simpler, hitting the slice button, and I can make a random MIDI and then copy that and change the sensitivity, and that would totally change what it's playing. It would play different clips starting at different points, different lengths, all kinds of fun stuff. So if you haven't tried that, just throw a weird audio sample into this, slice it up, play them, and then change the sensitivity and see what else happens. I've actually, excuse me, I've made a song with multiple riffs of the same MIDI that are completely different samples playing. So it's kind of fun. All right. So we'll start kind of left to right here. I don't plan on getting super technical because mainly when I'm doing this stuff, it's just kind of by feel. I know where to put things, but I don't know what to really choose necessarily to get the specific sound that I want. But basically, when I was playing with this solo, I guess I don't really have to solo, but so this is kind of what you end up with, is all these weird see, I can actually lay out. Yeah, get all of my buttons. So you hear some pretty cool stuff already. Just random. I think I've thrown some effects on here, so that's helping, right? But this is where creative process starts, at least for me, is just playing around with this, and that's cool. And I just keep finding new things that are cool. But this specific track I kind of just designated as the kick drum because I was talking with Yared the other day, and we were wondering what my kick drum was because I forgot, honestly. So this is my kick drum. It's not super special, right? But it goes well with the track. I'm playing this slice up here. Let's zoom in on that. What we found out, stop my audio. So this is the full sample. Really, I'm pretty sure this was just me accidentally bumping my phone while I was recording. Yep, that's it. And out of that was born a kick. This is also a cool thing. This is actually pretty universal. So you can change the sound of this kick a lot just by changing where it hits that wave at. I could be wrong, but I think the higher the amplitude, the more you get that click, as opposed to more dull.
And yeah, I noticed too, you've got like you're running an instance of drum bus there. It might be a particular preset. But yeah, I'll just draw attention to that for anybody, just for the kicks, right? Because it has that boom kind of frequency.
Yeah, let's turn this stuff off and see what it's like without. So it's a lot different. I mean, this boom, right?
Mm.
Good stuff. And then with bass, I tend to like to mono. I don't know if that's proper, but it's just better, especially for like my track is very has a lot of side chain compression that like crushes everything else and just lets the kick come through. So I definitely want that guy to be kind of boomy. I don't know what my reverb's doing for me. Probably not much. Yeah, it's it. I mean, that's cool too, right? Like you can just change this thing to whatever you want it to be. Just like a weird crunch at the end. Fun stuff. If anybody has the Push 2, it's a lot of fun. Let's see, clip. No, not clip. Device. Yeah, so if I'm like playing with this, like just like we were doing earlier, I changed the start point and made it like real, had a click to the beginning and then the other was a little bit softer. You can just keep doing that, modify your start point. And everybody likes twisting knobs, right? So it's just more fun when you twist knobs. But yeah. So either way you can do it. That's the kick drum. Moving on. Clicks. I'm assuming this is clicky. We'll figure out what it is. No, you stop. No, don't record. That's one thing I've not learned how to do, is how to like make it so it doesn't make a new sample or a new clip. We're soloed, so. Just another thing that this is literally the same drum rack copied from here with different effects. So kick to clicks, same drum rack, has the same samples and everything. Different effects. I don't know what exactly. So those aren't working for that clip. But this. That is a modified version of the carabiner I showed you earlier where it's clanking around. I'm fairly certain that's what that is. But yeah, just throw some effects on there, twist some knobs while you're going, and you can change that from the very like metallic. By the way, how is my mic to audio output balance? Is it like really super loud when the music comes in?
No, it's okay. I think for
Cool.
Yeah, for me it's okay.
All right. Yeah, so there's a modification of that. I believe my MIDI is very simple. And I'm going to get to the question earlier about how you mess with the transient, how you quantize the audio. But there's also another thing that's pretty cool that you can do that I believe is, whoops, stop. This guy, not super interesting, just a cut of a voice, ambient noise in the background. Not my favorite, honestly. This is a sample of '23. Let's see what you are. Nope, wrong one. I say 23. Sorry, guys. Yeah, let's figure out what this dude is. So that is a motorcycle engine, I think. Yeah. Oh, that is why, because I'm on this this track. My bad. I was getting all thrown off there. There's too much effects on there to even figure out what that is. Yeah, we'll leave that one up to mystery. It was just another thing that I kind of played with. And it started to sound good. So I was like, all right, let's do this. More of that. I'm guessing this is probably more of that. Nope. More ambient vocal noise to add some weirdness. But yeah, you can see a reoccurring theme. I like to loop small bits and then take certain things that I like the sound of, and then I just start throwing effects on them. This is another voice cut. This is not gonna stop this guy. This is a one shot just because I liked in the song, I liked it just to stop. I didn't want it there the whole time. Let's see what this guy is. Okay, so this one I kind of want, never mind, I won't do that, but I kind of want to break this guy down. This is the clicks from that bird you heard in the cave. And I specifically took this one out because it was a cool example. I think I have just the audio. Oh, it's off. So that's the original sample. And that only thing that I did to this was I threw an EQ on it. And moving away from technical stuff, this is some of the just kind of cool things you find out about the world in general as you're doing this stuff. So this bird, right? It's in a cave with all this noise and it needs to figure out where it's at. Its frequency that it clicks out. I'm assuming that it needs to be a higher frequency to come back to them, and they know that's the sound that they made. Because if you take this EQ off, or if we'll play this, and I think I will turn this volume down because I think the cave is just really loud. So there's all this extra noise, right? Take it out of here. You can't hear the bird at all, right? It's gone. Oh, I guess you can hear it a little bit. But take all the cave noise out and you are left with a bird. So let's see. Can I copy this? Oh, you have to record. So what I'm going to do here, I don't know how long I've been doing this. Hopefully, if I start taking too much time, just stop me. I could probably do this for a while. But what I would do to record this audio to, going back to the question earlier, quantize it, set it up how I want, and manipulate it how I want. We will do, I believe I can do clicks of a bird for my audio in. And then put this dude to record. Record and play this guy. So you see it's recording this audio. We'll go ahead and stop that. We'll stop this guy. And the fun part, we open this guy up. It's pretty quiet, right? So you don't have to do this, but I'm gonna just turn it up a little bit. We'll play this guy. Good, right? So I believe all I have to do here is go to my audio clip, right click, quantize. Quantize settings is a really good thing to mess with too. So right here, I can go to 16th. I can go to whatever I want. Our purposes, let's go to 16th. Quantize amount. This is nice to add a little bit of an organic feel. So 100%, it's going to snap all these transients, which you'll see pop up to exactly that, whatever line's near to it. So let's turn this down, give it some more organic. So transients popped up and it just snapped it to whatever 16th. I don't know what this will sound like. Slightly less random, right? And you can make this sound better, of course, by, there's probably a different way to do it, but I like to just snap it to that. And then let's see, that is, you try to make 4 bars here. I'm not going to worry about doing that right now. But basically make a 4-bar loop of your audio sample. And if you don't like how something's, or where something's placed, this one's 16th, so it's not too bad. But you can always just, there's a couple of things you'll learn to do with transients, but you can just move it. So I can move that guy right there. You hear that stutter? It's because I took this audio and I just stretched the crap out of it. So I think I can fix that by going like this. And then maybe just like that. I don't know. Or maybe you want that. I've actually done that, and then I really like the stutter effect that it put on that particular sound, and then you can just use that. Like, why not? Gives it a little bit of character. You can do that all over the place if you want. But yeah, so that's how I kind of quantize things and make them more rhythmic. Definitely, it's nice to put them in a for whatever bar loop. Also, another cool thing is, I think I did this too in this track. Not that. So this weird kind of MIDI sequence is actually a function that Ableton did to a audio sample like this. So I think you extract to a groove, right? Yeah. So you extract this guy to a groove. I don't know if y'all have used grooves before. I like them, they're fun, but it's kind of really organic if you make your own from a random sample. And then let's find something that is just like very basic. This dude. Okay, so he's what, quarter notes? I don't know if that's right, but we're going to use, I didn't pay attention to what it was, but we're just going to say it's this. Stop. So you can't tell with this sample, but I believe that's firing at different MIDIs, yeah, or different spots. So what I just did is I chose my groove, which was based off the audio that I recorded over here. We'll go over that real quick. So just extract grooves. Ableton does its thing. It sees these transients. Go over here. And then it's going to be in your grooves. These are kind of cool. They will play as the groove, but until you hit commit, the MIDI won't actually change. So I hit commit, so it's now in this sequence that is based on the clicks of that bird. But I'm going to put that dude back. Let's Control Z that. So there you go. you can use real world stuff to sequence. You could leave this as raw, just audio that you took. If you don't want it quantized, you don't want it necessarily on a beat, sometimes that's cool too. But yeah, you can use this stuff to make MIDI for other things. So nobody's ever going to know that, but you'll know that. So it's kind of fun, right? Cool. So that's pretty much it. So I will just kind of play some of this stuff. Oh, I did skip over the bass. This, you have to trust me, is that bird. So actually what I did here was I just took a, what was it, a single cut from a drum rack that I made in this guy right here. So all these different noises, I just found that bird, and I think you'll see the missing one right there. So that's right before, and then there's more bird here. Okay, that's just me laughing, I think. Yep. Yeah. Anyways, if you play those all in sequence, you'll get your clip, right? So I took that cut of the bird, cut it way down. This time I used simpler with a classic mode that just kind of looped it. And let's see if I can play this guy. This gets its magic from my sidechain compression that comes from my my silent kick drum. And I don't know if I need to go over that, but there's my bass. With the sidechain compression, it becomes much more rhythmic. I don't know if anybody else can explain to me why all of my notes come out some form of F. To me, I'm playing these notes, right? And the frequency should go up the faster it passes over that. Does anybody know why? Because normally when you put something in a simpler and do this, you get higher frequencies as you go up. And it sounds higher to me, but my tuner is telling me it's just F.
I think it might be like the size of the sample is kind of like
yeah. So let's try this. I will do. Yep, you are right.
So I guess like even
you are right.
The like pitch, or I guess like the speed of it is
Yeah.
changing.
I
The like
wonder if the
size is
tuner,
like oscillating enough too.
exactly. I wonder if the tuner is counting those oscillations as a way to judge frequency. So it's picking up that like pitter patter back and forth at a really fast rate, and yeah.
Okay.
Which, yeah, I mean,
Interesting.
that always relates to pitch, but there, because it's so pronounced, I don't know how much that deviates from that core kind of root tone. But that's so interesting.
Okay, I want to put it back to normal. We'll change this until it stops changing, then I'll know. Yeah, there we go. All right, so let's play with this. Y'all heard the kick drum. I also added sidechain compression. What I like to do is I like to shut it off. A lot of times I'll just use the 808 kick because it's a nice kind of waveform. But I play this. Let's stop everything else. When I learned how to do this, it totally changed like how I made these things. It's really easy to make almost a pad that's super rhythmic without doing a repeat MIDI. You can just hold it down. You basically get something rhythmic, and it works really well with vocal synths as well. But yeah, sidechain compression. If you don't know about it, it's pretty sweet. So let's. I got my sidechain going. I'm gonna play this bass. And I'll stop that. It might get really loud. Okay, not too bad. But yeah, so that's the basic idea is it cuts it out. You add a kick in there when it cuts out, and then you just get a really nice booming kick. Okay, for real this time, I'm not all of it's gonna sound all right, but this is just kind of how I do things until I find something I like. So here we go. Go back to this guy. I can actually use my erosion to make this, or I think, I don't know, doesn't seem to be working. Oh guys. I'll cut some of this stuff out. I don't like that. So this is the clanking is what I just played. You got the oil bird right there. Yeah, I mean, fun stuff. All right. But yeah, I actually just spilled my beer on myself. But that's okay, because yeah, we're having fun. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Anybody have any questions?
That's amazing. Yeah, Craig made a great comment there that yeah, using a bunch of organic natural sounds, and then yeah, you ended up pulling something so gnarly and industrial out of it.
Yeah, it's super cool. So like what I do for work is I'm an engineer in an automotive plant, and there's tons of robots, all kinds of clangs and stuff. And I've been meaning to for years to just like grab my mic, bring it in there. But yeah, I haven't yet, but I really want to. There's cool sounds all over the place. This is, yeah, and this is literally just phone samples from my videos that I mostly was unintentionally taking. Cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everybody for listening. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing that.
As you can tell, I probably could nerd about this for quite a while. Let's see, I'll stop sharing, I think. But yeah, thank you. I'm gonna start working on this as far as stopping sharing, and then I'll start listening.
Let me see. I may be able to, because I know sometimes, yeah, it's hard to see that. There you go.
Cool.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you again, Kyle.
Yeah.
In the time we have left, it's 8:08.
Hey.
Fortuitous time. But yeah, we tend to go till about 8:30 if folks can stick with us. I'm gonna open up a project here in a second and share a bit as well. Hopefully get to some of those questions there that came through. But yeah, and then we can just kind of chat informally. Hopefully my sound will work as good as your sound. It was good. Let's see.
Awesome. I will be right back, guys.
All right, you all can see my screen share? Okay, let me test
Yep.
the sound though. Ooh. Can you all hear?
Yep.
It's okay with my mic as well?
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Cool. All right, yeah. Well, yeah, I just wanted to talk about some kind of similar stuff, how I kind of go about processing things. This isn't anything I have worked on too long. I just wanted to kind of create just like a kind of experiment workspace for just to bring in some kind of different types of sounds. But yeah, let's kind of get into it. So Kyle, yeah, went over a lot of the same kind of processing things that I've used here, but albeit a little different. That's what's kind of so cool. But kind of, yeah, let's just give a quick listen. And then I'll kind of run through each of the tracks. So obviously you can hear some, yeah, you can hear some kind of nature sounds. Damn, my drums a little bit. Okay, yeah, kind of short loop, and it just goes a little bit more into the dembo there, and then I think a breakdown, and that's kind of it. Um, but yeah, so let's kind of go through. So I'll go to just this top one. Yeah, so this was, this is something that Kyle did, right? Just throwing a sample into Simpler, turning that slice function off, and then working with those transients. And so this was just, I literally walked into my parents' barn, walked around, kind of hit a couple of different pots, buckets, ended up getting just all kinds of nice, cool things. So I kind of used that to just do a little bit of a just kind of pots and pans percussion to go underneath the kind of main drum track. One thing I will say is that I struggle a lot with remembering to set my limiter functions and stuff when I'm out with my recorder, or like my gain boost. So a lot of times I come back with like super low level recordings, and I end up having to like boost them a lot. I will say, like, if you throw something into the simpler that's super low level, it may not pick up these slices. What you can do though is do exactly what Kyle did earlier. Just route that to another track in Ableton. Boost the gain as high as you can. Within limits. Throw some compressors or limiters on there and boost the gain up. Re-record it at a higher level into a new track in Ableton, and then drop that new sample in there, and then it should pick up the transients. Going to the second one here. This was just that same kind of pots and pans thing, but I did, again, something similar to what Kyle did, just kind of quantizing that, and just kind of dragging it around to specific kind of notes where it would kind of accentuate the drums. I did not make drums like per se out of the rest of this. I just used one of Ableton's kits, this Timbuktu kit, which is kind of a cool little piece. And then, yeah, we heard a little bit of those kind of chords coming in. You can totally get a sound like this from non-musical sounds. This did come from a musical field recording I have. I used to DJ a lot when we were in person with people, right? Now it's mostly online. But I loved to just keep the recorder running when we were doing like, if we were working with bands and there would be kind of just sound check and stuff. Getting those little moments where like a keyboardist was just kind of messing around. That's what this came from at a gig down at the Mercury Ballroom. And so I just love using those for the actual musical samples. You can pull a lot of rich stuff just when people don't know that they're on. let me see though. Yeah, so that was the same. That was just thrown into the slicer with just some auto filter kind of and reverb on it. Um, the next one I think was the ocean. Yeah, Tybee Island, which is in Georgia. Uh, and I've got that just going through this auto filter with just a hard kind of cutoff of the low end. Um, you know, for me, that's an automatic thing to do. Let me pull it back. And it actually, well, you wouldn't be able to tell because this fade to gray also cuts a lot of the low. But let's see. There's no analyzer on it, so you can't see all the low end. But any kind of field recording, right? I know B Storms asked, how do you cut out the garbage, right, from recordings? Any field recording, there's so much low frequency that we don't even hear as humans, right? But the recorders hear it. And then it gets interpolated in all kinds of ways in the program to maybe boost it into audible range. But so yeah, the low end is always just a high kind of offender for like just a lot of mud and taking up a lot of space in the frequency band. So yeah, you can use an EQ8, EQ3. When I'm going for a really hard cut, I use the auto filter with either the low pass or the high pass, the different functions down here to be able to change it. But I tend to find that for some reason the auto filter is a sharper, more clean cutoff than even if I do like a hard cutoff with the EQ8. So yeah, when I'm looking for just like super cutoff, that's what I go for. And then I really love this fade to gray. Fade to gray is amazing. It just washes everything out, kind of with a filter delay. And it's one of those beautiful plugins that's just one knob. And the more you take it towards 100%, it just starts to kick in panning and all kinds of wild stuff. And it has a natural kind of low cut on it as well, which is nice. Again, down here, I've got instances of the same kind of Tybee Island, those waves, but here I've kind of fashioned them a little bit more just as risers as a function kind of in the song. So just using, seeing this wave format, you already see some natural kind of riser kind of sound design to it. That's, what a wave is really. But so this, we can just accentuate that with just that built-in kind of fade there. And I'll let you hear it just. Yeah, it works really nice as just like a white noise kind of soft riser. What do I have here? Let's see. Oh, another instance of those buckets. This was working more as a snare. So kind of soft, and then through a bunch of stuff. And then of course we got down to the birds. So this is a perfect example, right, of an audio recording that just came in way too low level. You can't even really see any waveform there. You see I had to bump it up to like 17 dB and then use this glue compressor and stuff to get even more. But I wasn't using the slice function there. I was using that classic mode just to kind of pitch it across keys. And again, I've got that high pass filter, just kind of cutting off the low. Yeah, drove it up there just to get more volume. And then, yeah, I think that was just pitched down low from the original. The original was more up there. And right, you notice as it gets into the lower registers, you start getting like a different cadence to the bird song, right? Again, it's all about like frequency and oscillations. But yeah, when it's faster, just has a totally different character than this. And yeah, if you loop that, it can just be something really cool and kind of overlay it. And then of course, like in working with field recordings, you know, I use a lot of compressors a lot of times, you know, just to even out those sounds if I'm going for that. If I'm not isolating something specifically and you want to kind of even out the volume with everything, yeah, you know, you can throw compressors or limiters on there and use them to varying degrees. Um, let's see. So yeah, that was all that. Any questions about anything y'all saw there? I don't think there was more to this part. But yeah, any questions about any of those, or do you want me to double back on anything there?
I really love how you are balancing these found sounds to the kind of studio cleaned up sounds.
Mm,
I think it feels just so natural together. Like as Craig mentioned, it's like no one else is gonna have this sound. No one else
yeah,
is gonna have this combination of samples, and so that I think really instantly makes this something special. Um, yeah, I just wanted to say that. Nothing, nothing to add as far as the
awesome.
question yet.
No, thank you. Yeah, and you know this again, connecting people to space and memory, right? That's what music in general, but especially dance music, like and remixing, is really good for. Because yeah, when I listen to this, right, I recorded those birds out at my folks' house in Bardstown. That has all kinds of memories for me just growing up hearing those. Uh, Going to Tybee Island was a great moment. So you start to overlay these experiences of your life and then condense them and crystallize them into a track. And you know, that's a it's a very important, yeah, spiritual practice, artistic kind of rich discipline um, that I enjoy doing, even if I never share it. I'm blessed to have the time to be able to share it with you all right now. So yeah, thank you. Um, well, if anybody else thinks of another question, we can hit it in a second. Let me mute some of this other stuff because I have just another real quick couple of examples. Doing dance music, of course, is my heart. Like, yeah, I love moving and love to make music that tries to get people moving. Um, but you know, a lot of stuff too is just atmospheric and ambience, and that can just be a lot of beauty and sound in its own right. And then also combined with those more rhythmic things, either as like an intro to a song or even just as an underlying layer. I think we saw that really well in Kyle's, right? Even just an underlying kind of atmospheric layer, you put that through a side chain, and that becomes something totally rhythmic and different. But yeah, you know, Ableton is used by a lot of dance music producers, but used by a lot of other creators as well. Um, and so there's, you know, I think an approach just to layering too, and working with the unique spatialization of field recordings and sound, because like you said, Chris, right, these do give a real world feel, and they're not such sanitized, clean recordings. They give a sense of gravity. So here I've just grouped together just a couple of these different um, field recordings, and then worked with them in some different ways. Um, for me, like world building through music is beautiful, right? And we can achieve that through these kind of soundscapes in really interesting ways, just by combining and making whole new places. So I've got just like some outdoor like chimes. I've got those same birds that we heard earlier, and then those same kind of waves. And what I've done is just I've put them through a couple of the stereo utilities um, that are available in Ableton. If you just go, yeah, to audio effects, down under utility, there's all your, you know, to make something mono or to give it narrow stereo, to work with things in all kinds of ways. Um, but you know, the idea here, right, is to put back some of that spatialization that I was hearing in person that the recorder couldn't really capture. And then of course I didn't hear all these together in one moment, right? So I'm kind of taking a little bit of license to invent some sonic fiction here. Uh, but yeah, let's see. So I'll just switch it to mono, right? So on my group here, on my master kind of group for these tracks, I've got this super wide stereo, 294 degrees. Let's take everything to mono. I don't know how that'll translate, right, in your headphones, depending on how it's coming through. But there's mono. go back to like super wide stereo. And what I've done here is just put a super wide stereo on that master kind of group. And then each individual track, done the width a little different for the stereo. So this one's at 142%, 273. And then as these waves kind of come in, bringing this other kind of location, actually, I put some automation on that, I think to, just have it go closer to mono to kind of give that sense of like you're walking up to the beach, and it's kind of given that sense of space. And then I threw auto pans on all of them and just set it to a pretty like slow back and forth, kind of at different rates. Again, just to emphasize that stereo. And this could be used in its own right. I'm gonna make a lot of stuff like this for this plant music project that we're gonna start working on soon, this like plant biodata thing, but hoping to put a lot of like underlying field recording layers underneath that. But there's hours of this stuff that people will make and listen to on the internet as well. And it can be really kind of a fun sonic space to send your imagination to. The last thing I'll talk about really quick, and then we'll see if there's any time for questions. The last thing I'll talk about really quick is just, it's a concept known as sonic redistribution. So pulling sounds that are found in one location and specifically applying them for a purpose in another space. As a DJ and community educator and all kinds of stuff, I do this a lot, right? I'm pulling sounds out of context to repurpose them, in addition to what I do with music. But this guides a lot of what I do with field recordings. A lot of times, I'll just overlay them into a production to take that production to a place or to make it say something that I felt like it needed to say. So, one of the common ways I do that, either in DJ sets or tracks sometimes, are sirens. Sirens are really heavy for me, and I live downtown in Smoketown. We hear a lot of sirens. And a lot of times, I'll just be making music and the sirens will creep in, right? The things go by. So whether I have something to record right then, or I have an old recording that I'll go and just throw in there, the whole point is for me to kind of mark just the heaviness that the city was feeling as I'm kind of making this music. And then sometimes to make, specific kind of just connections. This was a song that I did, a good friend who was originally from South Sudan, who moved here, who was killed by the police, Ding Min Yoon. I had made this song, and again, just wanted to put a little bit of those sirens, a little bit of that heaviness of that, to then have this track to be able to go out and play in a DJ set, to be able to share, just that kind of feeling a bit with people. The horns and the kind of street traffic. It puts it in a definite place. So I'll leave it there, and we have 2 minutes left until the 8:30 mark. If anybody has any last questions, y'all have been troopers hanging with us for this long. Any last kind of things we can chat about or wondering about, or any kind of processing?
So I love the bird sample. I don't think we got to hear a whole lot of that actual track. Can we play a little bit of that? Just a couple seconds. The first one. Yeah, that guy. I mean, they were all cool for sure. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you all for listening. Any last questions or any kind of notes or anything? Stop this screen sharing.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, this isn't a question, but I gotta say this. Back in the day when I was DJing with vinyl and you would spend hours digging and finding something that was rare, and then you go play it and it actually, you know, it struck a chord with people and they'd ask you and you'd be hesitant almost to almost tell them you spent like 2 or 3 hours and found it somewhere on a white label. I can imagine if someone comes up to you and says, "Where did you get this?" And you're like, "It's a bird in a sinkhole in a foreign country." That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, in this world of, and I mean, this is no shade at all against any kind of pre-prepared sounds or loop packs or anything. I hella use those all the time. But I think yeah, I think there's something good to be said about trying to grab your raw material, right? I think that can be said of any artistic discipline, right? Kyle, I know you're a woodworker of fantastic just skill, and I know that you take a lot
Thank
of
you.
pride in that, in sourcing your own wood, right? In a really interesting way, in a very similar way that you do your samples, right? Finding kind of refuse that people
Yeah.
have thrown off there and repurposing it.
Yeah,
Um,
it directs you. Like it takes it kind of out of your hands, but then you make it your own, right? It's cool.
mm,
You know, if you're willing to play around enough, not to not to detract from any of the processes involved in acquiring found sounds, but all your built-in Ableton sound packs are found sounds. Pretty much any audio source that you are willing to spend some time manipulating and crafting into something that appeals to you, that's the process we're talking about here, right?
Right,
Indeed.
yeah,
That's
totally.
that's an amazing, yeah, that's an amazing way to break that open, right? To really deterritorialize it, to say like, found sounds, because you mentioned finding sounds on YouTube, right? And like that is a space like any other space. A website where we download a zip is a space like any other space. In the wild kind of the wilds of the internet, those are real spaces, right? So yeah, in any of those, any sound really that we find through whatever way, it's about how we work with it, I think, and about the connection we kind of make to it while we're working.